guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I have some more top 12 recs for you. These are going to be the books that I recommend if you need to get out of a slump. These are fast-paced books to get you out of that slumpy feeling. I know the seasonal depression could definitely be hitting and putting you in that slumpy mood. For me personally, every time at the top of a new year, I kind of get slumpy because I get that like freezy, overwhelmed feeling of like, I don't know what to read. There's too many options. There's too much pressure. What's going to be my first read of the year? So there's a lot of risk of slumpy territory around the corner here, but not with these 12 books that I have to talk to you about. And as always, I have bonus recommendations up on Patreon right now. So if you get through this video and nothing really speaks to you, or you just want to know what the extra 4 books are that I recommend over on Patreon, as always, the link to join my Patreon is down below. All of my entire catalog of bonus recommendations are available if you join the lowest tier, which is literally $3.99. Just saying. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my thriller recommendations for books that will get you out of a slump. Starting out with a recent read, we have Blood Like Mine by Stuart Neville. I absolutely loved this book. It is like a very fast-paced, thrilling game of cat and mouse, but we don't know who's the cat or who's the mouse because we're following a mother and daughter who seem like they're on the run, so they've definitely done something bad. And we're also following an investigator who is hot on their trail, trying to hunt them down, but we don't know what this mother and daughter possibly did, and there is a twist around the 40-50% mark that will absolutely shake you once you realize what is going on with this mother-daughter duo. If you like crazy, explosive thrillers where you think it's going to be one thing, but it's something totally different, and speculative horror twists, you will love Blood Like Mine. I love the character development and how things progress throughout the book. I read it so fast and I was always thinking about picking it up because I enjoyed it so much. The reading experience was great, the plot was great, the characters were great. Everything was great. And there was such a thrilling pace to it that I think it'd be great for getting out of a slump. Next up, we have a book that I've been raving about in my wrap-up content for the end of the year because it's been one of my favorites, and that is How Can I Help You by Laura Sims. This book is really, really short. It's like 250 pages, if that. Yeah, it's like 230, and it goes really fast. If you like quirky characters and more character-driven books, you're going to love this one. But just because it's character-driven does not mean it moves slow. It has a very quick pace to it. It's also just very, very entertaining because we are following 2 women who work at a library. One woman is just trying to appear as a normal librarian and kind of blend in with her surroundings because she's actually secretly a serial killer. And the other woman is kind of suspicious that this woman is a serial killer, so she's trying to expose her. Our other character is trying to stay hidden, and we go back and forth with who we're rooting for. You just have to get to the end to see what happens, who's going to win out. Those competing motivations are so effective at keeping you reading and flipping pages. It's just such an easy read and I highly recommend it. It's also hilarious. Next up, let's talk about a YA thriller, and that is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. In this book, we follow a group of kids who have rented an RV and they are going on a trip when they get trapped. And then there are people threatening to kill them outside. We follow this survival situation over the course of one night as the 5 of them try to survive with their lives. We're trying to figure out why they're being targeted, and the killers outside are being very vague about everything. So as they're trying to guess like who caused this, who is the one that they're really after, everyone ends up exposing their secrets. It's so scandalous and you feel such strong emotions for the characters. Like there are some that I really loved and there's one in particular that I really fucking hate. I referred to him as young Ben Shapiro last year in my reading survey, I think, when I was talking about my least favorite character of the year. My God, he's insufferable, but you want to keep reading to see that boy get killed. It is super fast paced because it takes place over the course of one night and you want to read and keep reading to figure out all of their secrets. It's such a solid YA thriller. Holly Jackson can do no wrong. wrong. Except for that last edition in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, but we don't talk about that. Next up, we have another recent read, and that is Assume Nothing by Joshua Corin. And this is like a modern take on a classic cozy Agatha Christie book. We are following a young teenage girl whose mother was murdered allegedly by her father, and she completely idolizes the detective who's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot type, who solved her family's case. So now when she has the opportunity to reconnect with him and he offers her the opportunity to solve her own murder, she is in. We are solving that murder while also examining what happened in the past. And there's an added element of there being a series of books based on this detective's crimes that he has solved. Author lore there. It is just so much going on throughout the course of this very short book. This one's also under 300 pages. I was feeling sick and miserable when I read this book, and it really just cheered me up. I usually don't like to read when I'm sick, but this one for some reason got me out of that sick, slumpy feeling. It just made me want to keep reading because it was so much fun. Our main character's voice is young and funny and like dark and sarcastic in a very like dry way. I loved reading from her perspective, and it was so easy to get through this book. The ending was surprising. I didn't guess any of the twists. It was just very solid and a really, really fun time. Next up, we have Falling by TJ Newman, and this is one of the most fast-paced thrillers I've ever read. I read it so fast because I could not stop. I needed to know what was going to happen. This is about a survival situation where a plane is literally falling out the sky because the pilot has to sabotage this plane in order to save his family who's been kidnapped. It is like the most basic high stakes moral dilemma situation you can imagine, but it takes it to a new level because you are so enamored with the characters. It does this very masterful thing of ingratiating you to its quirky cast of characters so quick, so you feel attached to them even though there's so much plotting and other things going on throughout the course of the book. It's very high stakes, it's heart pumping, it'll shock you with all the twists that it takes. But you know me, I'm a character driven girly, and that part really stood out to me. So obviously I feel like everyone who recommends this talks about the plot and the pacing, but also if you're a character driven girly like me, this could get you out of a slump as well. Next up, let's talk about The Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This is a whodunit mystery with very strong horror elements. It is pretty dark and gory, which I really enjoyed. It's about a group of people who get invited to go on this wintry getaway, but their bus breaks down halfway there. And we think it's going to be straightforward survival horror vibes until people start getting picked off one by one. And they are not dying from hypothermia, okay? Someone is killing them in brutal, showy ways. So over the course of the book, we have to find out who is doing it. And while I did guess with about 75 pages to spare, I had such a fun time in this book. I'm not even mad at it. The wintry atmosphere, the exciting darkness and gore of it all, and the keeping you guessing whodunit plot, all of those things came together to make such a fun ride that I read so quick and couldn't get enough of. Next up, let's talk about Not My Baby by Anya Mara. I read this one on audio, and it's only about 3 hours long, so I got it done in a couple hours, and it was just the perfect little quick bite that I needed to reinvigorate my love for thrillers in the moment when I was craving something but I didn't have a ton of motivation to read. We are following a new mother who was forced to give birth alone because her husband was trapped on the other side of this island. They live in this remote place that you can only access by ferry, and when she goes into labor, there's literally nothing for her to do other than have this baby. So she births and she passes out, and when she wakes up the next day alone and terrified of her new motherhood, she suspects that her baby has been like child swapped. Like someone came in the night and switched out her baby for someone who is not her baby, hence the title of the book. So we are trying to figure out who did this, how did this happen, or is she crazy? Oh, I love a good classic thriller, is she crazy trope. I just thought this was really well done. It was so fast and easy to listen to, very like straightforward writing, and the twists were decent. For such a short book, I was like pretty obsessed with it. I listened to it in one go and was thoroughly entertained. If you want something short and quick to get you out of your slump, this could be it. Next up, we have a super short book, actually the shortest book that I read this year if you watch my reading survey, and that is The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. Not only does this have all the wintry vibes, but it is so shocking. It reinvigorated my love for thrillers because it had one of those twists that just got me. I feel like everyone raves about The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. That one didn't hit for me. This one hit for me in the way that everyone talks about Kind Worth Killing. The Christmas Guest is about a girl who goes home with her classmate for the holidays, and she ends up meeting her classmate's brother, who is not only this like dark and interesting older boy, but also suspected of murder. And with young girls being targeted around their small town, we are left wondering, is it this man that our main character is falling for? It's obviously really fast because it's so short, and there's so much intrigue, so many twists. I was in it for the vibes, I was in it for the low-key romance, I was in it for intrigue with the characters, the plot, the twist, all of it. It just reinvigorated my reading. Next up, we have a missing child thriller, and that is No One Saw a Thing by Andrea Mara. In this book, we are following a mother who is getting on the tube in London with her 2 children. They both get on, and tragically, the doors shut. So she is separated from her little girls, and she's in a panic. Luckily, they find them at the next station, but it's only one. And she goes to the next station and she's like, oh, thank God you've recovered my daughters, but it's just one of them. And we don't know where the other daughter is. So thus ensues this breakneck pace, high stakes, heart pumping ride trying to find this other girl. It truly feels like you're in the middle of a missing persons investigation, but it's so much more scary because we were looking for a little girl who's alone in an unfamiliar city. They're from this like rural town in Ireland and she's lost in London. And it does not feel like she's on the Home Alone vibes, if you know what I mean. Like somebody snatched her. Along the way, we're uncovering different things about their family and their friends that uncover so much about what could have happened to this little girl. It's twisty, it's fast, it's scandalous, it's fun. It's not too deep, but it's just impactful enough to keep you reading. This is such a good one for getting out of a slump. Next up, let's talk about The Final Scene by Steph Nelson. Oh my gosh, I loved this book. It is such a unique plot. We're following initially just the kidnapping of a woman, and that's fast-paced and scary and will suck you in, but what keeps you reading is how this plot unfolds, because her kidnapper has put her in this situation where she has to reenact the kidnapper's childhood trauma, and they have to keep starting over and starting over and starting over until they do it perfectly and complete the final scene, in which we all assume that the main character will die. So we want her to get out, to either make an escape or be found by the police or someone who cares about her before they reach the final scene. The whole structuring of the book just kind of breeds this fast-paced, heart-pumping feeling. You have to get through and see her to her escape. It's so easy to read. It's like no thoughts, head empty. There's scandal, there's drama, there's even a little romance that happens that is so dumb, but just so entertaining. I thought the twists were amazing, but the pacing really stands out. It got me out of my slump that was horrible last spring, and I hope it will do the same for you. Getting into my last couple thriller recs here, we have What Have You Done by Sherry Lapina. And this is another kind of like whodunit style thriller. We are following a ton of different perspectives in this small town when a teenage girl has shown up dead on someone's farm. And everyone in the town is like, who could have literally done this? Like, they do not experience crime in this town. So we are going through basically every person who knew this girl, trying to psychoanalyze and think, who has done it? Very straightforward, but it's so exciting. It's really short. It's under 300 pages and it goes so fast because you just have to know I was really impressed with the way that there were so many perspectives, but I could very easily tell them apart. It was very clear, and I think the motivations for everything were very clever. It wasn't a stretch at all. Nothing came from out of left field. It was just genuinely fast-paced, shocking, and surprising, exactly what you want a whodunit thriller to be. And the final thriller rec I have for you to get you out of a slump is The Last Party by A.R. Torre. In this book, we are following a murderous housewife who is absolutely obsessed with a death row inmate. So we are flipping back and forth between her perspective, where she's planning her child's sleepover birthday party, and the killer's perspective, which he is actually on death row for being convicted of killing a bunch of girls at a slumber party. So I think we know where this is headed. The tension and suspense is wild. The twists are crazy. The structure of this book is just so well done to keep you flipping pages. The chapters are so short, and they often end with a little bit of like this intrigue or a cliffhanger even. The characters are also compelling enough to drive the story forward with a quickness, and we are just dreading what is going to happen at this birthday party. Once you get there though, there is so much more beyond what unfolds at the birthday, you're going to freak out. The ending is wild. So if you are in a slump, I hope some of these recs can help you out. And if you're ever feeling slumpy, just keep these recs on the back burner and pull them out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Happy Hailey Days. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!